Everyone, I'm Allie, and today I'm going to show you how to do this pearl weave bracelet. It uses some pearls and some crystals, but a lot of different materials can be used. So make sure you watch the video when I talk about substitutions, and also comment below to let us know what you used in your pearl weave bracelet. If you need any materials, remember they're listed below the description, and you can hit that little show more button in the description, and it'll get you links back to our website so you can check everything out. Go ahead and gather up your materials, and let's get started. So to begin our pearl weave bracelet here, we have a collection of materials. I have 6mm pearls, 4mm bicone, but you can use, like in the sample piece here, you can totally use a round crystal or keep to all the same size. An 11-0 in colorway number 1, an 11-0 in colorway number 2. Those are Miyuki and Toho, so it doesn't really matter which one you're using, and a 15-0. I have a 2-strand clasp here, pretty clasp garden one. You can use whatever clasp you want, 1-strand or 2-strand. I'm working with size 8 dragon thread, and I have a size 10 needle or an 11 on your thread. And I have a stop bead at the end of my thread, leaving about 10 inches afterwards so I can go in and attach my clasp after the project is done. You can do this project with 2 needles coming up and kind of making a little bit faster, but I like the stability of working with 1 needle and kind of sewing back through. This bracelet is going to be based on right angle weave, so we are going to start with that. I've added to my thread and needle an 11 with 2 15s with a 15 on either side. So the pattern is 15, 11, 15. And then we're going to add our first one of our crystals. On the opposite side, I'm going to do the same thing, adding in a 15, oops, sorry, 2 15s, an 11, and 2 more 15s. Now, in right angle weave fashion, we're thinking of our 4mm bicone. That is going to be the left side of the box. The seed beads that are after are going to be the right side of the box. The starting seed beads, or the bottom of the box rather, the starting seed beads, just ignore them for now. They're to help put on our clasp. I'm going to put on a pearl, and then again, 2 of my 15s, 1 11-0, 2 15s, and we're going to sew back into that 4mm crystal from the opposite direction. So back near the start of those 3 seed beads, going back through that piece. That is our first right angle weave connection. We're going to sew up through that first right angle weave connection through the 11 and the 15s on either side. And then we're going to exit through our pearl, which is going to be the right side of our box. Now here's where it's a little bit different. Here's where we're getting that weave action in. While exiting the pearl, we're going to create basically little fringe on either side. I want it to start with 1 15-0, followed by your alternate color of the 11-0, that darker one. And because we're on a pearl, we're going to use the bicone. After the bicone is a 15-0 seed bead. We're going to let that drop next to the pearl. Do not sew through the 15-0. But sew through all the other beads back into the pearl. So through the 4mm, through the 11, through the 15, and through the pearl. That 15 on the end acts as an anchor to hold that line of fringe in. 15, 11, bicone, 15 on the opposite side. What that's going to do then is hang out on the opposite side of the pearl. So you're going to do the same thing, sewing through the 4mm bicone or round or 6mm, up to you, through the 11-0 after, through the 15-0, down through the pearl, and out. Once you're out there through the pearl, and you don't have any extra thread showing, usually to solve that, just pull that 15-0 that acts as the anchor out, and that'll tighten it up. We're going to do our next right angle weave connection. 2 15s, 1 11, 2 15s, and since our last one was a pearl, the right side of this box is going to be a crystal. 2 15s, 1 11, 2 15s, back into the pearl. And only the pearl. You don't want to go into any of those seed beads on the side. Give a nice tight pull there. And now we're going to go up through that right angle weave, going through the 15s, the 1 11, the 2 15s, and then we're going to exit after going through the crystal. Once we're through the crystal, you guessed it, we're going to create that little fringe there. So creating the little fringe is pretty easy because it's just that same pattern, except you're going to switch when you're at the alternate product. So you're going to go in and add your 15, your 11. This time we're coming out of a crystal. So you're going to add a pearl, add your 15. My thread really wants to wrap around the bottom of my table here. Go back through the pearl, back through the 11, back through the 15, and through the bicone and out. And that creates the first one of our pearl fringe. Now I didn't put the pearl fringe there. You can if you want, but it's just usually easier to put on the clasp if you don't have a lot going on near the end. 15, 11, 15, pearl 15. Go on. And then once that's on, so back through the pearl, the 11, the 15, and the bicone. Now that we're out our bicone, we're on repeat. So just like we did with the first one here, we're going to add a next right angle weave unit, 2 15s, 1 11, 2 15s. Having had the bicone last, we switch to the pearl. 2 15s. You're going to get sick of me saying that. 1 11, 2 15s. Coming out the bottom of the what is now going to be the left side of the box through that crystal, you're going to sew into the top of that crystal. And out. Remember, don't go through any of the seed beads that are already there next to the crystal. And that is your next little right angle weave unit. From here, up the sides, going up through the 15s, 11 15s, and as well through the pearl. And then when we go through the pearl, just like we did previously, we're adding in our bicone fringe before adding in our next right angle unit. So this just continues the whole length of the bracelet. That's going to start building, and you're going to start to get this effect of the pearls kind of floating in between the crystals. Continue this for a good 7 total inches, depending on your wrist size. And then we're going to get ready. I'll show you how to add on your clasp. So I'm getting towards the end of my bracelet here, and I'm running out of thread. So what I'm actually going to do is add thread back to the beginning and start the same thing on the other side. You can see how beautiful kind of that weave is. And here at the end, I'm going to show you how I go in and add the clasp. Since I already have the rounds on there and we have the clasp that'll sit off a little bit, I'll put the rounds on the opposite side as well too. So here coming out, just like we did at the beginning, I want to do a 15 and an 11 and a 15. I'm going to grab onto my clasp, and I'm actually going to take the clasp apart and grab onto the tongue of the clasp because that way it's lighter to work with. I'm going to string back through the 15, 11, 15 through the last pearl, and I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. 15, 11, 15, up through the opposite side of the clasp. Now, when we get to the other side, I'm going to make sure that I have the clasp facing the correct direction. Because I'm using a push clasp, I want to make sure that when I go to put it together, that it does connect and that it's not flipped backwards, because that would make me sad. All right, so from here, and basically what would happen would be a twist in your bracelet. From here at the end, I've gone through once, and now we're just going to repeat going through and doing the same thing again. So I'm going through my seed beads, up through my clasp, down through, and then I'm going to weave my thread end in to my project to get it tied off further back along the edge. And then I'll go in and I'll start from the other end and build another inch or so. Once you go in and add the clasp to the other side then, and I lucked out that I didn't have to add any extra thread because I had left myself enough at the end. You can see how pretty that clasp is. It fits with the bracelet really well, going with that pearl lace and looking at on the wrist. I wanted to show before I put it on my wrist how cute it is as a necklace as well too. It has a great flow because it's kind of that lacy right angle weave. And here's how it is when you wear it as the fun bracelet. Thanks so much for joining me in the Pearl Weave bracelet tutorial here. Remember to comment below and let us know if you did any change-ups and to post your photos of your finished products in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. As always, if you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching, Potomac Beaders, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.